This episode of App Judgment is brought to you by Squarespace. Hey everyone, Eileen here for App Judgment, Revision 3's mobile phone application review show, but not just mobile phones, as I've said before, iPads. Graham's back with me today.
Hey guys.
Hello, you've become a regular Thursday guest on our show.
I think Thursday's become iPad day on the show.
We've kind of unofficially called it that. And today we're going to talk about another RSS reader. I know that we talked about Pulse last week with you, but over the weekend, the highly anticipated Reader app for the iPhone was just released. And I've been using NewsRack for a long time. Pulse is okay, but that's not really complete RSS Reader to me. You also downloaded Reader, and I believe you really like it. So sell it to me, Graham. Why should I switch to Reader? Why should all of us switch to Reader for the iPad?
Well, I think you just have to use it to realize why you're going to want to, why it's going to be your favorite RSS reader. But for me, I've used NewsRack as well. I had NewsRack on, I think, the day after I bought my iPad. NewsRack was one of the launch applications, and I bought it. And it's been a great RSS reader. And since then, I've kind of been trying to find out what's next. NewsRack is great, but it feels like a lot of the antiquated RSS readers that you can find on desktops. It doesn't feel like a new thing. And when I heard about Reader for the iPad, it looked like something I hadn't seen before in terms of how stylized it was, how easy it is to find stuff. And it finally came out this past weekend. I downloaded it and I could not be happier. It is now my default RSS reader.
Wow.
It is what I am using to catch up on all the news. And so yeah, I'll show it off to you guys. So once you launch it, you can tell it just has, you can see there's like a linen background. It just feels a little more personal, like you're reading a Moleskine notebook. And so the difference between Reader and NewsRack is that NewsRack, you can go out and subscribe to feeds from the app, and you don't have to necessarily sync it with anything. With Reader, it's actually sort of like a Google Reader interface.
Okay.
You're syncing your Google Reader account with Reader, and everything you do on Google Reader, and the web interface of Google Reader, will sync down to the iPad app of Reader. It's spelled differently, R-E-E-D-E-R.
Right, R-E-E-D-E-R, everyone,
But,
if you're looking for it.
so essentially, if you've got folders on your Google Reader account, they'll show up on the Reader iPad app, and it'll sort all of your feeds that way. And to me, I think that the best part of Reader is that you can either tap on your folders to get all your news, or you can do this. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's really cool. You can do the pinch to zoom, and all of your stories sort of spread out, or all of your sources spread out. It's not your stories yet. And so you can see all of my blogs that I read, Engadget, Laughing Squid, Gizmodo, TechCrunch. They've all been sort of splayed out onto this, I guess, table is what you would call it.
Right.
And now you can choose either by tapping or by pinching again to see all of your stories from that particular source.
Yeah, that's very cool.
It feels like Minority Report, that movie. I mean,
right,
it's so intuitive. You're sitting here, and when you're reading, you're like, I wonder what Laughing Squid is saying. And if you're reading it, and just the text looks crisp and clean, the background isn't white, it's a little bit off-white, so it's a little easier on your eyes. And to that same effect, the text is not just deep black, it's sort of gray. So it's a little bit easier on your eyes. You know, you're working with an active screen. This is not a Kindle. So a lot of people are kind of worried about, if you're going to be reading this for long periods of time, is it going to strain your eyes?
Right.
And I think this is one of the first apps that have come along and just said, we're going to tweak the colors a little bit to make it easier on your eyes. Because we expect if we've made a good enough app, you're going to be using it a lot.
Now, I did notice when I launched it, the syncing with Google Reader was really fast. That's one of my gripes with NewsRack, is that it takes forever to load, even on the iPhone app. But for Reader, it's pretty zippy. I
think all around this app is very, very fast. Even on stories with video content embedded and very large photos, you'll notice that as you browse through your stories, it's so quick. It's like almost as if it preloads some of this content before it shows it to you.
And you have the option to go into the website and read it on, what it looks like actually on the web. I like all of the different features on here, like, being able to send it to a note, delicious pinboard, which I don't use, Instapaper, read it later. You could link and link to it, or just email it as an article. I mean, there's so many different options here, which is really nice for sharing.
I think that was one of the main things that knocked Pulse out of the running for my default RSS reader. Pulse is a very pretty app. It's very nice, and I think it's still an app that I'll use if I'm wanting to just kind of lean back and look at my stories and have a more visual experience. But if I'm interested in reading through all of my feeds and catching up on the day's news, I think Reader is now going to be the app that I use the most.
I also like that, like Google Reader, you have all of these options like shared and following. You don't have that on NewsRack. At least I haven't seen it. So I don't know. My only gripe really is, I know you like the off-white, but for me, sometimes looking at it, when I'm looking on the left-hand column, I have to, I'm not straining my eyes, but it's so faint in a way. Like I feel like I need that option of the text to be a little bit stronger and not so gray, and we don't have an option to change that in settings or anything.
Right.
That's
and
just
also,
me.
When you've read a story, it sort of goes to that same color gray and can be kind of hard to find it again. I believe that's definitely one of the things that could be something that they improve later.
Right.
One thing I wanted to mention is, like, no matter how you hold this app, your left hand and your thumb is what you're going to use to browse through all of your stories very quickly. They've put these arrows on the they planned on how you're going to hold your iPad and where your thumb is going to be, and it's so intuitive to just kind of tap and go to the next story and follow through on your feeds.
I like the
really like that.
The swiping here. You could favorite just by swiping to the left, or you swipe to the right, and you can make it unread just in case you want to remember or go back. You don't want to have it read. I don't know. I mean, I overall like it. $4.99 is a bit steep, and you don't get the iPhone app. I already have the iPhone app, the Reader iPhone app, which I do enjoy. So that's kind of a knock. NewsRack, once you buy it on the iPhone or the iPad, you get them both. That's very cool.
Right,
a lot of people don't want to spend a lot of money.
When I downloaded the NewsRack iPad app, I synced my phone the next day, and I had the NewsRack iPhone app, and I was very impressed that they would do that. And unfortunately, the Reader app, the Reader iPhone app came first, but the Reader iPad app, you don't get the iPhone app if you download the iPad app. So you're going to be essentially paying the company twice, which some people may not like.
Yeah, and I understand that. At the same time, like you said, it is pretty revolutionary, the pinch zoom and the way you read and stuff. I just would like a little bit of options on changing font size and changing colors on the left-hand side. I mean, once you have the article on the right-hand side, it seems, pretty, the font and everything is really good, and then you have the option to go to the web to read it instead. So, I don't know. Overall, I really, really like it. I think maybe there might be a few more changes to come. It's one of the best readers out there. It might not be the best for you, especially if you don't want to pay, but if you are looking for a new experience and you like the Reader app on the iPhone, you'll probably like the Reader app on the iPad as well. So thanks, Graham. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions on this episode, or if you have any suggestions, send it to appjudgment@revision3.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and on our homepage, revision3.com/appjudgment. All right, everyone, thanks so much. Bye. Blogging is so easy when you use Squarespace, and now you can manage your entire Squarespace site on the go with the new Squarespace iPhone application. You can post and edit blog entries, upload pictures on the fly, manage content, save drafts, preview your updates, and even better, access your site's statistics. So try Squarespace today with a free 14-day trial, no credit card or deposit needed. Should you decide to move forward with your new fancy blog, use the code AppJudgment to get 10% off your order. Do that and you will help us give you more app reviews.